And Kate, I do want to, can you steal the screen for a second and bring up the GSI flyer first? I want to start with that so everybody gets a chance to put that in their information.
Okay.
Thank you. Okie dokie, it is 3:02, so we are letting everybody get in here. And let's see, we're going to open up the chat, see if anybody needs to say anything on chat. All righty. Okay. All right. We're going to give folks a few minutes to get on because there always seems to be, there's some kind of tech stuff. So just be patient for just a minute or two here. So let's see here. Why do I have?
Can you see the flyer, Teresa?
I see the flyer now. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. It's right there. Okay. No, that's not what I want. Okay. All righty. Okay. So if anybody's having any technical trouble, put it up on chat and say what's happening, or you can't hear, or your camera's not working, or something along those lines. I'm going to give people a few more minutes to come in. While everybody's working on coming in, I want you to look at your screen. You should see a green and black GSI flyer. And this is for the training that's coming up this coming up in May.
16th and 17th.
Yep. And so if you guys have ever done this one, it's been done before at conferences, FSGA, NGA, and stuff like that. But now, because of AGID's wonderful new big office in Longwood, we now have the ability to set this up permanently, hopefully. And it's basically, think about something along the lines of a scavenger hunt as a fiduciary, as a guardian, as a trustee, as a power of attorney. It's fun, it's fast paced, you'll come away with lots of new stuff to learn, and it's live. No, it's not by Zoom. No, we won't film it, because that's exactly opposite of the whole concept of why we do this. So please take a screenshot of that. You can call my cell.
I sent the link in the chat for them to go to the chat.
Perfect. You guys can call me if you're not sure how to use Eventbrite. This is done in Eventbrite. There's also the link, or you can use the little QR code. So, okay, that's the first thing. All right, now we're going to go, it's 3:04. We're going to wait one more minute, and then we're going to give everybody a chance to get on, and then we're going to introduce our speaker and let her take the microphone. Okay. All right. And there's still people clicking in. Let me wait just another minute or two, folks. I'm going to tell a quick story of what brought us to this. So many years ago, I had a guardianship. His first name was Stan. Many people know him. I was his guardian for just under 20 years. He was a head injured fellow who lived in a group home. And unfortunately for me, the gal who comes to the group home to cut hair of all the residents pulled up in her brand new car and left the keys in the ignition. We get the call around 3 o'clock in the afternoon that our head injured Stan has taken the car and left. This was many years ago, so the tech wasn't there now. One of the reasons I'm so happy to have Candace present today, Purple Alert didn't exist then. And we spent the next 24 hours, almost exactly 24 hours, trying to find out where he was, with no idea where he went. One of the best calls I ever got in my 30 years of being a guardian was the call from Cape Canaveral, an hour from here. He was sitting at the gate trying to get in to watch a shuttle launch. This guy was incontinent of bowel and bladder, had been gone for 24 hours with no medication, no food, no money, no water. It was one of the worst 24 hours in my entire 30-year career. So when the Purple Alert came out, I was very excited because we had nothing to be able to find him when that happened. So it was horrendous. So, okay. So I think we're at 55. So it's slowing down. It's 3:06. So Candace, we normally let the speakers more or less introduce themselves. So how about you take the helm here and give everybody a little short description about you, who you work for, what you do, and then start your presentation.
All right, can you all see my screen? Okay. My name is Candace Zachary. I am the Senior Crime Intelligence Analyst Manager at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for the Missing Endangered Persons Information Clearinghouse. I have been working with FDLE for about 21 years. I've served in different roles and worked in different areas within throughout FDLE, from sex offender and predator unit to our officer discipline or professional compliance. Then I worked as a system admin. And then about 2.5 years ago, I took over as the clearinghouse manager. So first of all, thank you for having me today. I will be going over pretty much who MEPIC is. Sure. Okay. I have a delay on my screen, so sorry. So today I'm going to talk about just what is MEPIC. I work for a state agency, so we love to use acronyms. So that's pretty much the Missing Endangered Persons Information Clearinghouse. So you'll hear me refer to it as MEPIC or the Clearinghouse. Just talking a little bit about the functionalities of MEPIC, because not a lot of the public know what we do or that we even exist. And then I will go into the silver alerts and the purple alerts. So at any time, if you have any questions, feel free to just chime in. So during the 1982 Florida legislation, they wanted to have a clearinghouse where they had a centralized repository for any missing child cases for the state of Florida. And in 1983, it was established, and Florida became the first state to have a clearinghouse. At the time, our clearinghouse was given the name of Missing Child Information Clearinghouse because, again, we only dealt with missing children cases. The reason for them establishing the clearinghouse is just for us to be a liaison between citizens, local law enforcement, nonprofit, and other clearinghouses across the nation that were soon coming about. In 2008, they renamed us to the Missing Endangered Persons Information Clearinghouse because that's when they decided to include endangered missing adult cases.
Hey, Candace, is there a way to make that bigger on our screen? It's pretty small, and some people actually do it on their phone. Is there a way to pump that up possibly in size? Yeah, then it cuts off the words. No, that doesn't work.
Well, I can do, the only other way I can think of is if I just take off the presenter screen, and you'll just see the slides on the side, unless I can get that off.
I don't know, whatever's easiest. It's really tiny. I don't know if people can see it very well. Whatever's easiest. It's very hard to read. Let's see what happens. Now we're looking at the list of folks. Does anybody see her flyer? I don't see it.
No, she probably just needs to, there we go, reshare her screen.
Okay, let's see if that's bigger.
Like, sorry for all the.
That's okay. That's how it is.
Okay. So yeah, so if everybody can see it, I'll go ahead and continue. So when the clearinghouse first started off, they were basically Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. That's how we operated. Since then, we have grown to about 18 analysts. We have 2 managers. We have a day manager, which is myself, and then we have a night manager. So with the growth of the unit, we are now available 24/7, 365 days of the year. So if any citizen or law enforcement person needs to call us about a missing person's case, we always have someone, an analyst, standing by on our hotline. This is a great tool or great availability to have, especially because we're in Florida. We love to have those natural disasters. So, we're about to get a direct hit to a region. Because we are open, we will deploy to a regional office at FDLE, and we will have our hotline running. So that way, if we get those calls, we're like, hey, I haven't heard from my loved one. we are there to make sure that we can take the information down and then pass it to the local law enforcement that's being affected. We're also open on the weekends as well as holidays. So MEPIC is primarily public facing, known for our child alerts. So we have our Amber Alert. Hopefully everybody received that Amber Alert that we pushed out on Tuesday. And with our Amber Alerts, that's going to be anything with the kidnapping involved in it. So if it's not a kidnapping element, then that's when we have our missing child alerts. And that's when we have a child that we feel is in imminent of seriously bodily harm or death. And then we have a third child alert called the enhanced missing child alert. And those are going to be primarily for our younger kids. Most of the time they are for kids that are on the autism spectrum and they like to wander. So we have that type of alert specifically made for them. With our Amber Alerts, it's always going to be a statewide WIA that we push out, and that's the wireless emergency alert system. So everything you get on your cell phone. And the enhanced missing child alert, that's also going to be issued a WIA, and that's normally at a targeted area. So if a child goes missing at the local mall, then we're able to do a 5-mile radius to send that WIA out to anybody that's in that 5-mile radius. And then we're also known for our adult alerts, our statewide silver alerts, and then our statewide purple alerts, which I will get more into later. Some other functionalities of MEPIC. So when we're not waiting for an alert to come in, we do provide analytical assistance to our local law enforcement agencies throughout the state of Florida, as well as outside of Florida. We have our analysts that are broken up into regional, we have our analysts who take care and work primarily on regional cases. And those regions are broken up based off how FD Elite has their regions. So we have 2 analysts who will work primarily on missing person cases out of the Orlando region. We have some for J-Rock, T-Rock, which would be Tallahassee, which is where we're located. We even have analysts that are working on Pensacola region cases as well. Not a lot of people know, but we also work closely with the Florida Department of Children and Families. So anytime we have a child that is in the custody of DCF, whether it's a foster child, a child that's at a group home, anytime that they run away, DCF will notify us and we will open an analytical assistance case for them. We also handle non-DCF cases. So if we have a citizen that calls and says, hey, my child has gone missing, I would like an analytical assistance case, we can open that on their behalf. As long as they're under the age of 26 years old, we can give them a missing reporting form that they can fill out, and then they can submit it back to us, and we can open a case on their behalf. However, if they're over the age of 26, then we have to have the local agency of jurisdiction fill out that missing reporting form and send it to us.
So that would be sheriff or city police typically?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so the 26, does that require that the individual have some recognized disability, or can they just be a child missing and up to 26? Any requirements?
If they're missing.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's great.
Kind of come up when it comes to the alert process. So the alerts, we have criteria for them. But for an analytical assistance case, as long as law enforcement feels like, hey, yes, that 30-year-old is missing, but they don't qualify for an alert, we can open an analytical case. When we're opening the analytical cases, what we're doing as far as MEPIC is concerned is we're running social media. We're running other criminal justice databases that we have that we can look, any open source intelligence. We're looking for any type of movement for that individual. So we'll look through different type of, jail records. We will look through court records. I mean, we are looking for that individual. So it's not
that, I don't think you might understand how huge of a help that would be for us. We have wards that go missing all the time, both under 26 and over. And they could be at the jail, they could be at the hospital, they could be homeless, especially the mental health clients. They could be anywhere. So if we can get law enforcement to do the report above age 26, we can get the analytical assistance from you by providing the letters of guardianship and the police report. Is that what it would take?
It's basically just a report. It's a reporting form that we have. And law enforcement will complete it. So whoever is reporting the person missing, the law enforcement agency will usually have them fill it out. And then the agency, whoever the detective is, will sign off on that paper and then send it to us. Once they send that reporting form to us, then we will open a case. And then we will send them a link to our flyer, which I will show you all later what those look like.
So our first step is reaching out to law enforcement, getting them to initiate it, asking for the analytical assistance, and then it goes from there.
Or any missing persons, you want to reach out to your local agency or jurisdiction.
Okay, great. I knew nothing about this. This is
Yeah.
awesome. This is
That's
awesome.
the first thing that you want them to do, because by statute, they have 2 hours to report that person missing, what's called FCIC. So it's pretty much like this big criminal justice database that has all the criminal histories. It also has teletypes where you put entries when someone is missing. So they have 2 hours once they're reported it to enter that into that. And
Okay,
to get that. So if someone calls our hotline and says like, hey, you know, my 30-year-old son is missing, the first thing we're going to ask is, did you contact your local agency? Where did they go missing from? We're going to ask you the city. If you don't know the city, we're going to ask you the county. Where in Florida do you think he went missing from? Then we'll give you the contact information to contact that person. And then once they put them in FCIC, they can always give us, the agency can always give us a call back, ask for that reporting form, fill it out, send it to us, case is open.
great.
We also handle out-of-state cases. So if we have a person missing out of Boston, Massachusetts, and for whatever reason, there is a nexus, which is basically a relationship or some type of tie to Florida, we can open that case on that out-of-state police department or sheriff's office's behalf. And then we also handle international cases, and that's going to be through our Hague Convention. That's when we're working with the Department of State, sometimes Interpol. Those are mostly going to be those parental abductions where one of the parents took the kid back to their home country. So we'll get Department of State to look into that. Some special functions that people are not aware that MEPIC does is that we are also involved as far as analytical assistance cases for missing child operations. So we work with the U.S. Marshals, we work with some investigative nonprofits. We actually have 2 in June, one for the Jacksonville area and the other one for the Tampa Bay area. So we do a lot of those with our local U.S. Marshals. And then we have our outreach. So we will speak to citizens, we'll speak to law enforcement, whoever wants to hear us talk, we will talk all day about MEPIC and what we have to offer. We also do conferences. I know I have 2 analysts that will be at the Family Cafe in June in Orlando.
Yeah.
Presentation as well.
Great.
And then we have some specialty topics. So we also work closely with our statewide coordinator, who's also my boss, for the child abduction response team. And that's basically CART. Those are primarily activated when we have like an Amber Alert. Sometimes when we have an enhanced missing child alert. We have 7, as far as FDLE, 7 teams, and they're all broken up in the regions. And then we're also dipping our toes in human trafficking because we see so many of these DCF cases and they're just, you know, an endless cycle that we're starting to identify some of our juveniles that may be victims of human trafficking. So we do handle that portion. So now we'll get to the bread and butter of this presentation. We'll start off with the silver alert. So an executive order was signed by former Governor Charlie Crist in 2008. And it was basically just with the increased population of our elderly, they wanted to have a standardized response between law enforcement and technology to make sure that, you know, whenever an elderly individual goes missing, that we can find them due to media outlets, due to just local law enforcement, boots on the ground. So we have two types of silver alerts, however, that most people do not know. So we have our local silver alert, and that's going to be when the local agency or jurisdiction, to wherever that elderly individual has gone missing from, can issue their own alert, which is going to be usually a reverse 911. So you might have gotten a call where they're saying like so-and-so has been missing from such and such area. That's going to be on the local level. Some local agencies also will do their social media blasts where they'll put the elderly individual up. And then they also might do like a media feed for that. How a local agency decides to activate their silver alert is going to be primarily up to that local agency. As far as MEPIC is concerned, we only handle the state silver alerts. So in order for MEPIC to get involved into a statewide silver alert, of course, they must be 60 years of age or older. They must have an irreversible deterioration of intellectual faculties such as Alzheimer's or dementia that has been verified by law enforcement. I think a lot of the times when we get law enforcement calls us and they're like, oh, well, the guardian or the caretaker said that they have it. We go by good faith. We're not going to hold up an alert just to get like a doctor's note that they have Alzheimer's or dementia. If you suspect that they have it and the caretaker or the guardian has told law enforcement, that's good for us. So we will move on with it.
So
But-
Candace, just so you're kind of aware, as a general rule, if we have a guardianship of any kind, there is some kind of an order from the probate courts determining capacity. And that's a document that every guardian would have. So almost every case. So they could immediately get that to law enforcement if there's any question about that person's capacity. So those are documents. We have letters of guardianship, and then we have an order determining the incapacity of the client under one statute, which is called 744. And then for developmental disability, it's an order of disability. So we have a document. So just for your information, it's easy for us to provide that.
Oh, well, that's great to know. Yeah, I mean, we just go by good faith. I mean, again, it's law enforcement. They're the ones that are boots on the ground. So they're going to verify all of their information. But again, I just like to tell people that because sometimes, even with like our missing child alerts, when we have an autistic child that's gone missing, they're always like, oh, we need a doctor's note. And we don't. Like, if you suspect, good enough for us. With the silver alert for MEPIC, as I said earlier, we have that local and we have that statewide, and MEPIC only is involved in a statewide when there's a vehicle involved. So if there's a local silver alert that's issued, it's because that missing person is on foot. Local agency is going to handle that.
So local is for the wandering. You guys are for in a vehicle, a bus, a vehicle of some motor vehicle. So specifically motor vehicle?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
I mean, we've had some motorcycles. That's why we need an identified license plate number, because if you put the DOT signs up, it's going to say, Jeep Cherokee, Florida tag 12345. You
Okay.
want to make sure that you have an identifiable license plate, because again, we're lighting those DOT signs up, and we want to make sure that the public, when they're just driving along, like if they see a Jeep Cherokee, oh wait, license plate, yes. We've had a few, like handful, where they've been on a motorcycle, and we need that tag.
Okay.
Sometimes we get very lucky and we actually get a picture of the vehicle. So we will put that on the flyer, which is my next slide. So when we open an analytical case, when we have a silver alert, we produce a flyer for all cases. So it doesn't have to be an alert, just get a flyer. If you have an analytical case, you get in the flyer. So our flyer is going to have all of the demographics. If we have a picture, if we have a picture of the vehicle, we'll also add that on there. So any demographics is going to tell you the city that he went missing from, or her, the county, and then we're going to ask for as much information as you have. Do you have a clothing description? If you don't have a clothing description, that's fine. If we have a picture, that's gonna be even better, because most people, are visual. If they have any scars, marks, or tattoos, if they have, if they're wearing glasses, if they get around by like a wheelchair, like anything that's going to like stick out to the general public, we'll put that in there. And then lastly, we're going to indicate what that vehicle that they have gone missing. Also on the flyer, we're gonna have the agency of jurisdiction listed. So if tips are coming in, they can call that agency, and it's usually a 24-hour non-emergency number. But they can also call MEPIC. We do take those tips and we will forward to that agency. So it's, the citizen is not just having to go to the local agency to get tips. They can call MEPIC. Again, we're 24/7. So sometimes people want to speak to a real person and not just like leave a voicemail. So that's why we put the agency as well as the MEPIC phone number on there, our hotline number. And then we're also going to have that person on our public website. So if you go on the FDLE public website and you put in silver alerts, at the bottom it's the search results, and it's going to give you just the demographics of it. And you can always like just click the person's little picture or their name, and then that flyer will pop up. And then you can make copies of those flyers and hand them out. So with our silver alerts, I mean, again, it's really important that we have a vehicle, that they're in a vehicle for us to do a statewide, because again, we're going to light up those DOT signs. The DOT signs will be lit for 6 hours. And if after 6 hours, they still haven't found, located the missing individual, law enforcement can always give us a call and we will reactivate those DOT signs. So we've had a whole 24 hours of the same silver alert going, like we're going to continue. I will say if we do have a missing child alert or an amber alert and there's a vehicle involved, that does trump the silver alert. So if there is a silver alert that's active, but then we have an amber or a missing child, we will put that on over the silver. So we light up the DOT signs for the silver alert. We do a statewide BOLO, or be on the lookout, and that's going to be in that system I was talking about, the FCIC, where they are entering the person as missing or endangered. We can also send out notification to all of law enforcement within the state of Florida, like, hey, this person is missing. This is the vehicle that they are believed to be in. MEPIC has a public subscription. So a lot of what I've found out within the last 3 or 4 months, that we have a lot of nonprofits that actually have subscribed to our public subscription. So anytime we have a silver alert, a purple alert, or a missing child, they get notified via email or on their phone that, hey, this person is missing. So we do have that public subscription available for anyone to sign up for. And at the end, I will have the website. Again, they'll be on our public site. And then social media. So some of the agencies, local agencies, will actually put up our flyer on their social media accounts on Facebook and Twitter. Some of our partner agencies that we work with, of course, Department of Transportation with the DOT signs, Department of Lottery. So we've had success stories where we've had a silver or purple alert, and the lottery machines will have the information rolling by. And we've had a clerk who saw the missing person. They had just left the convenience store. They gave us a call. We called FHP and they were able to retrieve them. So we do work with Department of Lottery. Oh, I
said I was wondering I was trying to figure out how did the lottery play into that. That's cool.
Yeah, a lot of people are not aware of that. So we've had success stories with that. And then of course FHP, because they're always out there on the highways, so they can always be on the lookout. And if we ever get tips from law enforcement, especially if someone's like driving, you're like, oh, we've had times where we've had a citizen like, oh, I'm literally driving right behind this car and they're on the phone with us and we're calling FHP, and FHP has been able to go and retrieve them. So those are our partner agencies that we work closely with. So now we're going to talk a little bit about our purple alerts. So the purple alert was signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis in 2021. And it went into effect in 2022 of July. It included missing adults on foot and in a vehicle.
Oh, great.
However, we had a legislative update last year, July 2024, that it broke it up like the silver. So we have the local purple and we have the state purple. So then MEPIC is only going to deal with the statewide, and then the local agency of jurisdiction, it's up to them how they want to activate their locals. So reverse 911, social media, media alerts, etc. The reason behind the purple, of course, is because they realized that you have a person that is too old for a missing child alert and too young for a silver. So we have this big population that there's no accountability for if they go missing. So that's the whole reason why the purple alert was activated. So again, the purple alert is going to mirror a little bit like the silver, mental or cognitive disability that is not Alzheimer's or dementia related. Any type of intellectual disability or developmental disability, brain injuries, any physical, mental, or emotional disabilities that are not related to substance abuse. So we can't say like, oh, well, this person's acting erratic, you know, after taking back a few beers. That's not going to qualify for a purple. Like it has to be a intellectual developmental disability of some sort. There has to be a threat of some danger or serious bodily harm. And then just like the silver, they must be in a vehicle with an identifiable license plate number. So the purple alert kind of mirrors the silver, where we have to have that vehicle. And then it's the same. Again, if you're requesting that analytical case or if you're getting a purple alert, you're going to get a flyer. So we do this same exact information. The flyer is no different, just as purple versus silver. We collect the same information. And again, it's on our public website. Again, the same things that we go with our partner agencies. And then this is our contact information. So that www.missingchildalert.com, that is going to be our public subscription. So you are able to sign up and you can actually select which alerts you want. So we have some of our analysts that work here, they have signed up for the subscription. So that way they can always be on their phones when they're not working, but you can say like, oh, I only want Amber, which most people will get, but with this subscription, you're getting the actual flyer. So you can push it and you can see all the information. Again, you can sign up to receive all of our alerts, or you can only just do silver and purple, which we've had some local agencies as well as local nonprofits that does that.
Okay.
I also have our hotline number, that 888-24/7. We will always have an analyst on standby waiting for anyone to call. The MEPIC email addresses are also there. However, that is not manned 24/7. That's usually going to be manned between 7 a.m. and midnight. Because when we have someone physically in the building. So if you send an email during those times, yes. If it's overnight, no one's going to answer. But if you call that 888 number, someone will pick up. So, are there any questions?
Well, since we have a little bit more time, would you tell us one of your favorite stories?
Oh man. I mean, I think I remember when we first got purple alerts to come in, we were getting slammed with so many. It was just, I was very surprised like how many alerts what we were getting. And it kind of felt so bad because if they were on foot, like we couldn't do as much. But I think I don't really have a favorite story. I think for me, it's like when we have those something we call at MEPIC a direct recovery. And a direct recovery is anything that we've pushed out to the public that resulted in someone being found. That's considered a direct recovery.
Nice.
So for me, I think anytime we have those direct recoveries, it reminds us like why we're here. I will say that I wish we were more hands-on as far as like the aftermath of when they're recovered. Because I think some of our analysts, they also feel that way, like, you know, you're chasing down like this lead on something on these like, especially these long cold cases. And then you find information, they find them, and then you just don't know what happens after that. But I don't.
That must be kind of difficult. All right, I think I'm going to bring up this event thing. So the scent event. So can we come off the screen for a second so that they can see this on my camera? I don't know if you guys can see this. Can y'all see that? I can't see it myself. Let's see.
Yeah, I
can
can
see
see
it.
it.
Yes, I can see
You guys
it.
can see
Yeah,
it?
it looks good. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this is something, guys, that's going to be actually at our GSI training. We're going to be trying to get one of these for everyone. So I wasn't aware how this works. And amazingly, our speaker just told me she knows the founder who created this. So I'm going to reach out to them about presenting to us. But the concept is inside here is a little glass jar, like a little baby mason jar. And if you have a at-risk person, child, purple or silver, who might be the kind of person that you believe could get away and get lost somewhere, you put on rubber gloves and you take there's a rag in here, and there's a instructions of how to do it, but you basically take that rag and put it on like a scented place of that person or that child, like the armpits or behind their ears or around their groin area, and then you keeping plastic gloves on because you don't want your scent mixed with it, and then you put it right back in that jar, and then you register it with the law enforcement. And if that person goes missing, that child, that development disabled kid, that 70-year-old gal with dementia, and law enforcement gets involved and they send the dogs, now you have the scent, the clean scent thing that doesn't have anything else on it. It's been living in this little glass jar. And then they bring the dogs, he sniffs the rag, which he's been trained to sniff, and now he goes looking for your lost person. So I didn't know anything about this until just about a week ago. And so I'm trying to find out if we can get more of these for the guardians, because if you've got the kind of clients or even your own personal family and friends, somebody in your own network or circle that might have somebody at risk. So these are apparently free if you get them from law enforcement, but you can also purchase them. So we're going to have more information about that. But this just goes so well to me with the purple and silver alert, and I want everybody to be aware of it. So it's called, if you can't read it, it's called Scent Evidence, and law enforcement is very involved with these. So it's just something really cool. All right, so we've got a couple questions. So the first one is Lisa saying, shouldn't everyone under guardianship qualify for this program of Purple Alert? Well, I think the answer would be yes and no, as far as qualifying because they are a person of some kind of cognitive impairment. But you've got, amber for kids, purple for kind of middle in the road, and silver for elderly. So some guardianship people would be under silver and some would be under purple. Is that probably, am I right, Candace?
As far as MEPIC is concerned, as far as a statewide alert, again, they have to be in a vehicle. If they're on foot, then that's where the local agency of jurisdiction is going to implement their own activation of the local. And again, that's going to be the reverse 911. Some do social media. It's completely up to them because again, they're the ones that are boots on the ground. But if they're in a vehicle, call MEPIC.
Okay, so one of the questions Simi's asking, will we be able to have a copy of the slides as it was impossible to see on the phone? Kate normally sends out the presentation to everybody who attended. I'm assuming, Kate, that's what's going to, or Julie, whoever's on the line, that's what's going to happen today. Is that true? Is that accurate?
I don't think I sent her a copy, but I can send her one. Hopefully like they will understand the context of it because I don't have like the little speaker notes at the bottom. But we also have a little brochure of the purple and the silver. So I can also forward you that if it's
This is also being recorded, so we could see the screen as you were talking.
Okay, so we've got, Simi, you got lots of choices. It's recorded. Yes, Candace, if you can go ahead and send it to her, then Kate can at least have it attached to this presentation. And then also listen to the recording. Okay, so next question. Is there a 24-hour, great question. Is there a 24-hour wait period to report someone missing? Do you know the answer to that, Candace?
No, there is not. Per Florida statute, if you report a person missing to the local agency, they have 2 hours to enter them into FCIC. There's no 24-hour wait. That is the biggest misconception a lot of people have. There's not.
Okay, next tough question. Lisa says, we had a missing on foot elderly ward who law enforcement would not add to the purple alert because he was previously homeless. Ouch. Any thoughts on that, Candace?
Well, one, he's on foot. So that's going to be the local agency. And the local agency also has to believe that there's a credible threat. We've had, actually, now that you now that I think about it, there was, if you don't mind, I do have a story.
Yeah, no, love it.
Once you said homeless, it triggered something. So we had a adult male out of New York that was homeless. He came to Florida and his mom had no contact with him whatsoever. However, one day she got this weird phone call. She picked up it, no one answered. They hung up. So she filed a missing persons with the state of New York. New York call, I guess they did a track of the number, and it was a Florida number, so they called MEPIC, and they're like, "Hey, we've got this missing person. We believe they're in Florida. They called from this phone number. Can you help us?" It's an out of state. They believe there's a nexus or some type of tie to Florida. So yes, we opened that case. One of our analysts who handles all the out of state cases, she ran the number, came up to a homeless shelter. She called the homeless shelter. She's like, "Hey, we just opened an analytical case on this individual. If I send you over the flyer, can you see if he, is there?" And the mom hadn't spoken to him in like 2 weeks when that little hang up happened.
Wow.
The homeless shelter got the flyer and recognized him immediately and called us. And then we were able to call New York.
Nice.
So again, it's one of those things. And I think a lot of the times is that law enforcement just doesn't realize that we're here for them. So yeah, you might have those times where you might have a homeless individual who's gone missing. I mean, they're transient. However, if the law enforcement doesn't feel like they're in danger, they can still call us to get an analytical case open. We'll still search for them.
So we could, or we still need to have law enforcement do it kind of at the same time.
If it's an adult, you're still going to call local law enforcement agency. Once you call them and they put them in FCIC, you can always give us a call and say, "Hey, I already notified local agency. We're going to run the FCIC report to make sure that agency had put them in. And then we're going to go ahead and reach out to that agency like, "Hey, do you want to open an analytical case? This is what we do." And we run through the whole thing. Most of the time, the agency will say, "Yeah, go ahead. Send us their missing reporting form." And they'll send it back, sign it, and we'll open a case with a flyer. And then we'll send the link and the flyer to that agent or to that detective. And then we start working. We start pulling, court records, jail records, anything that we can, just so we can find a missing person. But the main thing you want to make sure you understand is to contact a local agency.
Both sides.
Contact them.
Okay, we got another question. Oh, go ahead, Kate. I'm sorry.
That wasn't me.
Okay. Did someone have a question? Okay, there's one in chat. Stacy says, "Our ward eloped on foot. He was picked up, taken to the hospital, and released by the hospital because he's nonverbal and could not answer their questions. This happened during an active purple alert." Oh God, how do you get the purple alert to the local hospitals? Is it because he was on foot and the local police did not communicate to the community? Oh, good question.
How do we alert the local hospital about the purple alert?
I think she's saying, Stacy, you want to come off of mute and clarify? I think she's saying that there was a purple alert, but the hospital didn't get it. Am I right, Stacy? I don't know if you can come off of mute, Stacy, and clarify. I think that's what she means, that for some reason, even though there was a purple alert, the hospital didn't get notified and they sent him right out the door. She says, "I can't get off mute." Happened to me all the time, Stacy. Am I right? Was there a purple alert issued and the purple alert didn't get to the hospital before they? Correct. Okay. She says, yes, that's exactly what did happen. So it seems like it maybe failed somewhere, that if the purple alert existed and the hospital didn't know and they let him go, what could we do on that end? Anything?
Yeah, that I don't know how the local hospital, that I'm not sure. I know we've had cases where we've located the person at a hospital. And even then, I believe the 2 or 3 instances that we had, a nurse or someone happened to have was a public subscriber.
Check the alert. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, maybe it doesn't always work perfect. Okay. All right. Let's see. More questions. Anybody got more questions? I'm looking at chat and I'm looking at for anybody who wants to raise their hand or if they want to get on off of mute and ask an actual question.
And if I could also too, as I'm looking at the question again, if it's a local and he's on foot, as far as communicating that to the hospital, I mean, being that he's on foot, that's gonna be that local silver alert. So it's gonna be up to the agency on how they distribute or disseminate that information out.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So Candace, what can we do as, I mean, we're a little different circumstance than the average public person because we deal every day with lots of folks who have cognitive decline or dementia, and we deal with them in every way. What could we do on our end that would make this more, I don't know, effective? Or is there anything you'd like us to see us to do in a upfront preventative way, kind of like the scent thing? What would you like to see us doing when we're responsible for people who could get into trouble and get out there?
I mean, I think probably the best thing is just training and communication with your local agency of jurisdiction. I think as long as you have like a very strong communication between the local agencies, then I think you're good, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. We could, I think that'll be our next step here is we'll start reaching out to maybe some sheriff's departments and some police departments and get their take on how they handle it. A couple more questions came in. Diana says, would a psych unit be able to confirm a purple alert or a silver alert for a person who's in there?
So you have that beautiful thing called HIPAA. However, what we've done is that if you believe that a person could possibly be in the hospital, that's when I would call our local agency and be like, hey, can you have someone go out there?
Oh,
For the most part, most hospitals have security. Some of them are with the local agencies and some are private. So that's gonna be a tough one. But I think that's where when you bridge those that communication gap. So like if you have someone, if you have an officer or a detective that works closely with that community, they may have like the answer for that. I did a virtual presentation earlier this week, and they had the Ocala Police Department, and they were talking about so many different programs that they have. They talked about the scent evidence. They talked about the lockbox, where if you have a person who's unable to, who aren't mobile, like, you know, they're bedridden, you can do a wellness check, that you can actually give them, they can put a lockbox like you would do for the real estate, and they would put it on the box, and the communications department would have the key, but they also have the code. So if they ever needed to like pop up, they had that code. And when I heard that, I just thought that was amazing because again, it shows that, you know, they're trying to, law enforcement and the community is trying to come together to make sure that everybody's safe.
everybody's really thinking about the problem. Yeah. We got another question. Monica says, so just to be clear, how long do the different alerts last for once they're started?
So for those DOT signs, they're gonna be lit up for 6 hours. If they have not located that person within that 6 hours, the agency can call MEPIC back and we will get DOT to reactivate those DOT signs. But the alert is going to stay active as long as, you know, the person is still missing.
Okay. All righty. Okay. So I'm looking for other questions or anything in the chat. Okay, guys, I have a cool little surprise. Julie, can you turn off? Are we done with the recording? We've got enough for the CEs?
Yeah, I'll turn it off.
Okay,